This is session 1, learning Hexagon version 2.5 with Brandon, and the first thing we've already been touching on is going over the interface as far as navigation is concerned, and the things that we covered is how to just generally navigate around the 3D space. The area that I highlighted on to start with was this whole main window that I'm moving my mouse cursor around, this big empty area with just this grid pattern in it. This is the 3D world in which everything happens, and by default when you go into the program you'll find that there's nothing in there other than this grid. However, when you hold down the Alt key and use the left mouse button, you're able to rotate around, but you'll notice that when you're rotating around you're kind of focusing more kind of around the rotation of the center of this world. So you can see here that when you're rotating around, we're rotating around this middle area. So there is a center point in world space. This is generally what's called world space, and we're moving around in it right now, world space. In order to what's called pan, I think in games they call it strafe or something like that, don't they, or something like that, where you move left to right. Well, in 3D they call it panning, and that is the Alt and the right mouse button, so you can pan. When you use that in combination, you'll be able to pan and rotate using the left and the right mouse button, and it's always holding the Alt key in. Now for zoom in, you've got two options. You've got the mouse wheel, and you can see here that it doesn't matter where I have my mouse cursor, it's trying its best to zoom in on the area that I've got my mouse, as you can see there. You've also got the Alt key and the middle mouse button if you hold it down, and you're able to move a little bit quicker. What you do is you just simply move your mouse up and down, you can see like that, and it will zoom in and out. So that's another quick way. Once you get used to navigating around 3D space like this, you're going to be able to work really quickly. Now the next thing that I showed you, and I've done this just for demonstration purposes because we haven't talked about 3D models yet, is I just brought in a quick cube, and I'll show you how to do this in a minute. But this quick cube allows you to have something in the 3D world to rotate around, and it's good to practice going around the cube and indeed making sure that you're able to navigate around the cube effectively. So even though there's not a lot to the cube itself, you want to be able to navigate around everything to do with that 3D cube at the moment. In other words, at the moment you can see when I rotate, you can see the cube's going off to the right hand side. Well, to correct that you would use your pan, so the Alt and the right mouse button, it brings it back to the center. Although we're not moving the actual cube itself, we're moving kind of like the camera in which we're looking into. So if you can imagine, if you're holding a video camera and you're moving around in the room, that's what we're doing right now. We're looking through like a virtual camera. We're moving around and running in the 3D space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we've got to be able to quickly have access to anywhere on this 3D cube. So at the moment it's easy for us to see the top, but what about if we want to see the bottom of the cube? Well, we can rotate until we start to see underneath it, and then we use our pan to bring it up like that. And of course if you're too close you can use your zoom out, and now we're able to see the bottom of the cube. So this is something that you're going to have to get used to, the panning and zooming and rotating. So we're panning, we're zooming, and we're rotating. Now at the moment what's happening is we're rotating in a general way around the cube, only because the cube is in the middle of the 3D world. So this is like the equivalent of putting a cardboard box in the middle of your room. If you was to put the cardboard box dead in the center of the room, that is what we're seeing right now. So you've got these white lines that are going through this way on the grid, and you've got a white line going through this way, and where these lines cross for the middle here, you can see there, that is the center of the world, or center of the room in which you're doing your 3D modeling. So that's how you know that you're in dead center. And generally when you do 3D modeling, you'd generally model things within the center of the 3D world, and this is because you've got space to go around it, infinite space to go around it, in fact. Now from here I moved on to the first part of the interface where it is concerning the buttons, and I focused on these 4 here. And the reason why I've jumped straight to these is because these are directly related to what we've been talking about navigating around. So I'm going to stop this video at this point, and then we're going to come back to here so that you can go straight to that video which covers that.